The first time I saw Emily laugh with our neighbor, I didn't think much of it. After all, she laughed with everyone. But this laugh, sharp, breathy, the kind that made her eyes crinkle, lingered. It stayed with me long after I went back inside. It was a Saturday morning in early spring. The sun had just started warming the tips of our maple tree, and the faint hum of a lawnmower drifted across the street. I was cleaning the garage, half listening to their conversation. Emily stood by the fence talking to Claire, our new neighbor, 25, bright, chatty, and too comfortable around us for someone who'd moved in barely 2 months ago. I heard Emily's voice carry over the hedge, teasing, "Take my husband if you want. He's all yours." Claire's laugh followed, light and careless. "Don't tempt me," she said. They both laughed again, the sound mixing with the wind. I smiled then, wiping the sweat from my brow, thinking it was just harmless banter. I had no reason to believe otherwise. Not yet. It started subtly, the small things you only notice when love begins to decay. Emily began dressing up more often, even when we weren't going out. She'd spritz perfume before checking the mail, wear lipstick to walk the dog, and stay out on the porch longer after work. When I asked who she was texting late at night, she'd say, "Just Claire, she's been lonely since her breakup." That made sense. Claire had recently split with her boyfriend, and Emily had always been compassionate, sometimes too much. But the way Emily's phone would light up, her lips twitching into a smile she tried to hide, made something inside me twist. I told myself not to be paranoid. We'd been married 12 years. We'd survived job losses, miscarriages, and the silent weight of unspoken disappointments. We were solid. Or at least I thought we were. One evening I came home early. I didn't tell Emily. I wanted to surprise her. Maybe even take her out to dinner, something spontaneous. The house was quiet when I walked in. Her car was in the driveway, her shoes by the door. Then I heard it, the faint sound of laughter upstairs. My heart stuttered. I moved silently through the hall, each step heavier than the last. The laughter grew clearer. Emily's voice. And another, Claire's. The door to our bedroom was slightly ajar. I could see movement through the gap. Emily sitting cross-legged on the bed, Claire beside her, both looking at something on Emily's phone. Relief flooded through me for a moment. They were just talking. Nothing strange about that. Until Claire reached out and brushed Emily's hair behind her ear. Slowly, intimately. The gesture froze me. Emily didn't pull away. Her eyes lingered on Claire's hand a moment too long, and the air between them seemed to thicken, as if a secret had just taken shape and neither wanted to speak it aloud. I backed away before they saw me. I didn't know what I had just witnessed. Friendship. Something more. My mind raced with possibilities I didn't want to name. That night I couldn't sleep. Emily slipped into bed around midnight, smelling faintly of wine and something floral, Claire's perfume. She curled up beside me like nothing was wrong, her breathing steady, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds until sunrise. Over the next few weeks I watched them, quietly, painfully. Their friendship deepened. Too deep. Claire started coming over when I was at work. I knew because the smart camera by the door pinged me every time someone entered. I told myself I trusted Emily. But trust is fragile. Once cracked, it never looks the same again. I began testing her. Harmless questions meant to see if she'd lie. "Did you talk to Claire today?" I'd ask casually. She'd smile, avoiding my eyes. "No, not today." But the camera said otherwise. Each lie was a tiny cut, small but deep enough to bleed me from the inside out. Then one evening it all came crashing down. It was a Friday. Emily was hosting a movie night for Claire while I was supposedly working late. But I had switched shifts without telling her. I parked a few houses away and walked up to our porch quietly. Through the curtains, the flickering glow of the TV painted shadows across the living room walls. And there they were, on the couch, Emily's head on Claire's shoulder. Claire's fingers tangled in Emily's hair. They weren't watching the movie. They were kissing. Froze. My throat went dry, my pulse hammering in my ears. The woman I had shared my life with, my plans, my trust, was wrapped in the arms of someone half her age, just a few feet from the family photos we'd hung together. I wanted to burst in, shout, demand answers. But I didn't. I stood there, motionless, the cold night air pressing against my skin while my insides burned. When I finally walked away, it felt like leaving my own body behind. For 3 days I said nothing. I needed time to think, to breathe, to stop shaking. On the 4th day, I confronted her. It was morning. She was making coffee, humming softly. I stood at the kitchen doorway and said, "How's Claire?" She froze, her back to me. "Fine," she said after a moment. "Why? You've been spending a lot of time with her." She turned, her expression guarded. "She's going through a hard time, Daniel. I'm being a friend." I nodded slowly. "You're being more than that." Silence. Her eyes darted to mine, and for a moment I saw it, the flicker of guilt she tried to hide. "What are you saying?" she whispered. "I saw you," I said quietly. Friday night. On the couch. Her hand trembled, coffee spilling onto the counter. She didn't deny it. Not right away. Then, almost defensively, she said, "It wasn't what you think." I laughed bitterly. "Then tell me what it was." Her voice cracked. "I don't know. I didn't mean for it to happen." She made me feel alive again. Seen. The words hit harder than I expected. Alive again. 12 years of marriage reduced to that. We didn't speak for hours after that. The house, once filled with laughter and routines, became suffocating. That night, Emily slept in the guest room. I lay awake, remembering our early years, when she used to fall asleep on my chest, when her laughter meant comfort instead of deceit. Love doesn't die all at once. It erodes slowly, grain by grain, until one day you're left with dust and silence. Claire moved away a month later. Emily said it was too awkward for her to stay. We tried therapy, but it was like pouring water into a cracked glass. Every session reminded us of how far we'd fallen apart. One evening, she looked at me across the table and said, "I don't think we can fix this." I nodded. "Neither do I." It wasn't anger anymore. It was exhaustion. We filed for divorce quietly, without drama, without shouting. Just two people signing away what was once everything. A year later, I still live in the same house. The maple tree out front has grown taller, its branches brushing the window where Emily used to sit with her morning coffee. Sometimes I still hear her laugh in my memory, the same laugh that started it all. I don't hate her. Not anymore. But I'll never forget the day love turned into a joke that went too far. When she said, "Take my husband if you want." And someone actually did. And I realized the cruelest betrayals don't always come from strangers. Sometimes, they're wrapped in the voice of someone who used to love you.